We have a small group today, and Gabby did inform me that sometimes people register and then watch it later. So I'm going to try to adapt to that a little bit, but I still want to go through with trying to make this as interactive and personal as possible. So if possible, I'm asking that you do turn on your screen because that way we can be real human beings together. I appreciate that. And I also understand that it might be your lunch break. And so it would be totally okay to eat your lunch while your screen is on. I often do webinars during my lunch break, and you need to eat, you need to sustain yourself. So no problem with that. And also, if you can, have a piece of paper and a pen ready. Perfect to jot things down because we're going to be, this is really meant to be tailored for you. And the only way that can be is if you personalize it. And we're going to have some prompts for some journaling. And so for folks who are watching the recording, same thing, stop the recording and do some journaling and to the prompts, because that's really how you're going to get the most out of this. Okay, so I'm going to now share my presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. And play from the start. Okay. Can you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All righty. So I'm just so happy to be here today to talk about how coaching can help you start and sustain your new business. And I realize that you're all in many different stages of where you are with your business. And hopefully this will resonate with you no matter what stage you're in right now, including maybe just the idea stage. So really want to make room for that. I'm just going to fix one more thing here. Okay. All right. So I want to just let you know how we're going to spend this hour together, or the 55 minutes we have. Um, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my background, although Gabby already gave a really nice summary, more extensive than I thought. And then we're going to talk about the path to starting your own business. And I'm going to share about the stages of transition that humans tend to go through in something as big as starting your own business, because that's a life change and that's a life transition. So we're going to talk about the stages of transition and hopefully help you notice about where you are at and what sort of the path looks like ahead of you. Because navigating a life transition of starting your own business is a big change. And we're going to talk about how natural it is at different times during this transition to get stuck. And we're going to engage with each other on how this happens and strategies to get unstuck. And we're going to focus on how to sustain your momentum and how coaching can help you in times of feeling stuck or feeling overwhelmed or exhausted. And then, excuse me, we're going to wrap up with a little bit more on coaching and resources available for you and how you can take next steps if you're interested. All right. Well, so again, about my background, I'll be super brief here since Gabby already spoke about this. But um, I did start my career with clinical social work training. And the reason why I think this is important is because you, as a person, really need to be understood and seen in the context of your life situation. And in social work school, that is a key ingredient to understanding people and helping them. So, your life context has to do with your gender, your race, your socioeconomic status, your family of origin, whether you encountered privilege of education as you were growing up, who your cultural surroundings were, and the political scene. So all of these are important in understanding people, and they're important to you in your situation of starting your business. Um, We already know that I got a doctorate in educational leadership, but I focused on women's leadership, which has always really fascinated me, and women's leadership development. And then I spent just under 30 years in complex organizations, mostly working in higher education. And then I turned my attention and focus to coaching because I really enjoy focusing with people that are in transition and seeking more fulfillment in their lives. Because we all deserve to have our best life. And I love working alongside people who are sometimes feeling stuck and want some support. And I'm excited to talk with you all about your situation with your new business. This photo here of me that's hiking in Montana de Oro, in case any of you know it or appreciate hiking. But I love living here in the SLO area, and there's just so much to do and be outside. So a little bit about my coaching practice, because you may not really know what coaching is. Uh, these things on the slide, self-awareness, goal setting, skill development, these are all things that coaching can focus on. Stress management, career advancement, business development. Everybody comes to coaching with their own goals and what they have in mind, and it's always tailored to the client's needs. I really believe that every individual has the potential to lead a fulfilling and purposeful life. And my approach is centered around helping my clients cultivate self-awareness, which we're going to do some today, help identify your values and your goals, which we're going to do some today, and create actionable steps towards achieving them. It's brave and bold for you to go out and start your own business. And it's also brave and bold to dig in and explore what might be your internal habits or self-limiting beliefs or ways that maybe aren't serving you anymore in the way that they used to. So together in a coaching relationship, you can develop strategies to navigate different things like the conflicts that might come up in your business or make hard decisions and help to do that with clarity. So in my coaching role, I provide a safe and not judgmental space for clients to explore their inner work. And we're going to look at some of that today and work towards your desired outcomes. A coaching relationship develops trust and makes the space for vulnerability. And that makes the opportunity for change and courage to transform what you want next in your life. And then the other thing we do is we create a scaffolding around the transition and the change, and that supports clients in actually manifesting what's next. So I'm going to put up some quotes here, and I'll also read them aloud in case you're unable to see the slides. But what I'd like you to do is listen to the quote and then see what comes up for you. Okay, these are all about people following their dreams. So some people dream of success while other people get up every morning and make it happen. A big business starts small. Opportunities don't happen, you create them. Failure is success in progress. Chase the vision, not the money. The money will end up following you. And a few more. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. Only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. You have to work on the business first before it works for you. So just see how those land on you. And these are all about goals and related to achieving your dreams. And I'm curious, what gets stirred up for you? What did you feel when you were hearing those? Because it's helpful to develop some self-awareness to get you in touch with your inner motivation for your business. Because knowing your inner motivation is going to help you stay focused through the challenges. And we know there will be challenges. Now, here's the reflection part of what we're going to do. I'd like you to write down what is your strongest motivation for starting your business? What is your why? Why are you here today? Why are you part of this community that's learning about starting your business? What is your deeper purpose with this? And remember, in order to make this really a good workshop for you, you're here. Let's make the most out of it. Let's make this interactive and jot down what comes to you right now. What is your why? What is your purpose? And, I imagine that amongst this group, there are varying reasons about why, but it's okay. It may be that you want to make some money because you want to care for your family financially. It could be that you're at a starting point and then it grows into something else after the start of you're doing it financially. It could be that you're creative and you have a unique idea that you think will benefit other people. It could be that you just want to do what you do, but do it for yourself, like be your own autonomous person. Some people don't like to work for other people and want to do their own thing. Keep in mind your why, and your purpose will help you keep you motivated when things get hard. So I'm just going to pause here to make sure that you have a chance to write that down and have that be as focused as it can be for you at this moment in time in your journey. So starting a business involves a big change in your life, and change involves transition. And we're going to talk about the impact of this transition on your life. So you're all experiencing a whole lot of things going on, no matter where you are in the stages of starting your business. And we're going to talk about these various ways that it could be impacting your life. And it might be that you haven't even acknowledged that these things have happened so far in your life. So by thinking about them now can help you sort of zone in on, wow, this has impacted my life, or it will later on when I get going a little further. So first of all, there are personal impacts. You may have a new physical space to start your business. It could take over your dining room, for instance, or maybe you moved for starting your business. Or there are impacts on your family. Maybe you have more time or less time with your kids or with your family. And that maybe you have less time for your partner or more time due to how it's playing out for you. But it can also impact your time. Like if you're working from home or your business is getting going, you may be considering, should I give my child a bath or fill an order, or should I vacuum or answer emails? And many people are starting their own business from home. And this is what's so challenging about working from home. But what we want to do here is be aware of how these transitional impacts are happening in your life and noticing where you're at. So there might be physical changes. This may have impacted your sleep patterns, your diet. It might have impacted the amount of time you have to exercise. I saw that there's an upcoming workshop on self-care. And if these things are being impacted for you, that might be one of the workshops you want to look into. And there's also psychological and internal ways that this transition may be impacting you. You might be feeling overwhelmed at times, or anxious, or irritable. Maybe you're impatient more often, or frustrated, or stressed about time, angry about the struggle because there are challenges along the way. Maybe you have a fear of imposter syndrome or fear of failure. Ask anyone who's done something worthwhile, and they will share that there were times when there was a cloud over their head. But remember, some quotes from famous leaders, like, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that it doesn't work. Or, the one that fails and gets up is stronger than the one that never tried. There are other impacts maybe on your professional life. So if you have like a day job, and then this is sort of your night hustle in the first stages, it may be that this is impacting your day job and what career you've had up until now. Or maybe you're, dreaming about this during the day and then hoping to put it to plan later, into action. But just noticing, how is it impacting whatever professional career you have or you've left? And you may have shifted your purpose in life. And it's important to keep in mind so that your purpose and why are forefront. So before you started your business, you may have thought, I orient myself and my purpose is around this. And then now it's shifted. So what I'd like you to do is just take a minute and jot down what you're noticing about these different potential impacts on your life. Because if you keep track of them, then there's a more likelihood of improving them instead of them having a negative impact on your life. So for instance, if you are having trouble sleeping because of a stressor about starting your new business, maybe trying to keep track of your sleep habits will help you focus in and make some positive impact there. So just take a minute and write down what impacts you're seeing. So the first step in any change process is noticing. So next, we're going to discuss the stages of transition because you're designing something new, and that's unpredictable and uncertain, and it can get messy. But if we know the stages of transition, we can get a sense of the process that's ahead of us and navigate the stages with greater sort of insight and positivity. So this is a graphic of William Bridges' stages of transition. And I hope you can see this, but I'm also going to talk you through it in case it's hard to see. As paradoxical as it sounds, this is strange, but transitions start with an ending over here on the left side. And I'm going to go through all this, but it starts with an ending. Usually something has to end before something new comes around. When endings occur, our habits, patterns, and routines are disrupted, and nothing's going to be the same again. So then you enter this transition zone, or what we're going to call the messy middle. And this can take up to 4 years for people. So just keep that in mind, this messy middle, this transition, where there's a fluctuation between uncertainty and commitment. And then there's a new beginning and sort of the exploration and a rebirth. So going back to the ending again, and this may seem strange to you, but in hindsight, it will make sense if it doesn't now. But when an ending occurs, our habits and patterns and routines are disrupted, and nothing's going to be the same. Something has to die for something new to be reborn. You have to make space. Something has to go away and something has to come in. And in this stage, the life of what was comfortable, like a comfortable caterpillar, is coming to a close, whether we want it to or not. Now, sometimes our endings are intentional, that we initiate. So you all may be just saying, I'm going to start a business and this is my choice. But they still represent a break from the past. Other times they happen to us. We might get laid off from our job and then say, aha, now is my opportunity. I'm going to start my own business as a result of this thing that happened, and I'm going to make the most of it. But let's face it, endings are hard, right? They tend to be sometimes painful, yet they're vital in life as they create the space for something new to come into our lives. Now, if you're leaving something behind, it can feel like a loss. And it's important to realize that. And that as we let go of the shore of the past, we can ease into the center of the river and begin floating in our next destination of the future. So again, it starts at the end, which can be an internal kick to get you started. And then you notice that something new is available. So then there's the messy middle, this transition zone. And this is kind of a liminal space. It's called the in-between, where you're moving from the unknown and letting go of certainty, whatever this was that you let go of. And it can be humbling. It can be very humbling, and it can be full of discomfort. Sometimes you can feel like you're underwater, but you're finding threads to pursue, and small insights come in during the day or at night. And sometimes you may want to go back and return to what you knew and what was comfortable, but then you get inspired and you want to move forward. You get glimmers of hope. Maybe you sometimes want to go back because you fear you lack the tools, and it's easy to get stuck there. But if you stay connected to your core values and your why, then you're more likely to keep moving forward and enjoy the experience of stretching yourself, because that's what the fun part is. You are brave enough to keep going, but it involves being vulnerable and courageous. And you really need to have a commitment for this new beginning to happen. Remember, this stems from your purpose or your why, which we talked about earlier. And it's also helpful to have tiny micro commitments every day to keep you focused. So then when you're ready, you move to the new beginning. And it's exciting, but it can be fragile because you're taking like flight into this new space and you're finding flow in this new space. It's kind of like a chrysalis where you leave the rich cocoon with the interior and the potency and the caterpillar's becoming. And you consciously choose a new path for yourself. But this involves risk. So you're excited to be in the new space and you're becoming. And it's sometimes really helpful to ask yourself some questions like to pause, like you're doing today, to reflect and say, who am I becoming? Who do I want to be? Where do I fit into this future path? What are my values? What are my strengths that I'm bringing to this? And how might I live into those in my new business? So you all have wrestled with a deep desire to pursue a new calling. And that means stepping away from playing it safe. But you have to be creative to create a new space for you to blossom. So one of the keys in transitioning out of that messy middle there is taking a first small step and then another small step. And as I said, making these micro commitments to your new purpose. And that way, the messy middle gives way to the new beginning, and you've become someone new. And sometimes you can even feel renewed. So just take one more look at this depiction of the stages, going from ending to messy middle to the new beginning. And then we're going to do a reflection. Okay. So this is a quiet reflection that you're going to do on your own first. And I just want you to jot down, where do you see yourself in the stages of transition? And the point of this is going to be a reference point for you to keep in mind when the journey gets messy or unclear, so that later you'll know you're on the other side in the new beginning. So where do you see yourself in the stages? What emotions do you identify with from what I talked about? And what have you let go of, and what are you gaining? Or what do you, if you haven't gotten going yet, what do you anticipate letting go of and gaining? So we're going to pause here so that you can just jot these things down. And if it's helpful, here's the graph again. And you can see the different emotions that you might be relating with, and consider what you've let go of and what you hope to gain. And just keep in mind, that this is about, you taking a risk. But as they say, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. And you can't get anywhere in life without taking risks. And if you risk nothing, then you risk everything. So be proud of yourself. Okay. So now what we're going to do, if possible, is come together and just talk about where you're at. And so I'm going to stop sharing. And there we go. And Gabby's going to put some questions in the chat, um, which, hold on one second so I can see them.
I did put them in the chat.
Great. So, what stage are you in? And what challenges are you facing? And what do you need to move yourself forward just a little bit? And Elizabeth and Jim, I don't know if you're able to come off video or even off mute, but we were going to do breakouts if there were enough people, but we're just going to sort of chat about this right now. What stage are you in? What are your challenges? And what do you need to move yourself forward, even just a little bit? So, Elizabeth, do you want to share? Do you feel comfortable
Sure.
sharing?
Hi, yes. Hi. Thank you so much. This is so valuable. I'm
Mhm.
just lapping it up, like licking the half and half, off the plate. So good.
Excellent.
Um, I am in transition and I have let go of many fears, many, many fears. And that season has seemed to take in about 4 years. So maybe I'm further along in transition than I think, but I'm hoping to gain more confidence and a more solid why, because I do want some financial freedom, but my purpose I wrote down was to really bring joy to others and be able to shine the love of Christ and win souls. Ultimately, that's my life purpose, to please God. However, he's given me an amazing idea, a few different ideas actually, but I'm focusing on this one, how to build this business to help others, primarily seniors, in memory care and other stages of elder care, and doing activities and doing excellent activities and doing things that really impact the lives of people at that stage of life. And so in my transition, yeah, there's all those things you said. There's discomfort, but finding the threads, I really identified with that because I'll
Yeah.
have these little glimmers of hope. And then I'll go, oh, that's it. That's what I'm supposed to, that's why I'm doing this again. That's why.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm in the messy middle. I've definitely let go of fear. I've let go of a lot of false ideas about myself and others, and in a beautiful, safe place, safe marriage, safe all those things. So
I
so
love
yeah.
it. So, Elizabeth, what's one thing that you could do to move yourself forward, even just a little bit?
Well, this is pretty much my next step is meeting with you. I'm joining the group in February. That's the entrepreneurial steps through the MCSC. Anyway, that group. And
Mhm.
I'm they told me I have to go back to adult school to get my diploma, which is a riot. So I'm they didn't, but here at Cal Jobs, in order to further my credentials behind my name, the semesters that I went to college that I didn't graduate with anything are now counting as high school credit. But my school closed, my all that stuff went away so long ago, and I never needed a diploma. I skipped my senior year and went to college. I got married at 19. I was in college at 17. So I'm having to just backpedal now and do that. So that's a next step is I'm furthering my education. I guess it all sums up in that. And I'm taking
Mhm.
sort of like a smattering of different classes, and I'm laying out tangible goals for the next 6 months that I kind of know what I'm doing, like with this part of my time, as far as the income part and all that, and the curriculum and all the things I want to do and write. It's almost like the cart before the horse. So I'm
Right,
just having to be patient
right.
and do the little steps and keep it together, while we're plodding like dog paddling. It's one of the best
Yeah,
exercises in the pool is dog paddling. If you really do
yeah,
dog paddling, it's one of the best. I love to swim, so I always laugh when I'm dog paddling because it takes my whole body to do it.
yeah. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing that. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you being so open and talking about the messy middle and what next steps, you're ready to take. That's beautiful.
I'm ready. And I think it's exactly from what you said. There was a lot of things that had to die before I was able to go forward to get inspired to the next part. I had to lose a job this past year too. And
Uh-huh.
that was good. It's really good.
Yeah, great. I want to give Jim an opportunity to share if he is able or wants to, and if not, that's okay too. I notice Anita has joined us, but just now, so she probably won't be ready to share. But welcome, Anita.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So we'll go back. That was sort of our breakout together. And now I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Just advance these slides. All righty. So sometimes we find ourselves in that messy middle, kind of like Elizabeth was talking about, with challenges along the way. And sometimes they're challenges we can move forward with and through, and then others can get us really stuck and then keep us in that messy middle for a long time. And so I'm curious, when was the last time you felt really stuck with this, with your business moving forward? And I'm curious, in what ways are you stuck right now? So something might be holding you back slightly. And what is important here is developing some self-awareness around it. So, for instance, you might be repeating a pattern that's not helpful for either your development or your business development or the quality of your life, say with your friends or with your family. So it could be a pattern, it could be an unconscious pattern. So some of the things that we do without even thinking about. So, and some of them are helpful, like brushing our teeth or breathing or drinking water when we're thirsty. Um, but some are unhealthy and unproductive and are not moving you forward with your goals. So I'll just give you an example. Sometimes when I'm feeling stuck, I might check my phone just as a distraction. It's totally unproductive. Um, Maybe you're checking your email while you're talking to your children, you know, probably not the best way to focus with them. Um, or let's say you're working on a project and you're like, I'm going to check Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is. Maybe not a productive habit. And sometimes when we feel stuck, um, we take actions that derail us, and they're signs. Okay, so this is why the self-awareness is important. So when you feel stuck, I'm curious, Number one, how do you feel in your body? And then also, what actions do you take? So it might be that you go to the fridge, just open the door. What's inside? You're like just trying to distract yourself or fill a need or appease that feeling of being stuck. Maybe you decide you're going to pour yourself a glass of wine or go to a workout class. Or maybe you're stuck and you find yourself yelling at your kids or your dog. Or maybe you're stuck and you say, I need a yoga class right now. So think about ways that you get stuck and how you behave when you feel that way. It's easy to get stuck in these stages along the way and with these challenges. And the beauty of working with a coach is that they can help you develop this self-awareness and negotiate these different stages of feeling stuck to help you move forward. So believe it or not, successful people seek growth. And when they're on their journey of becoming and learning and seeking their growth edge, it can be uncomfortable. So this is what successful people move through. And it's so easy to feel stuck and want to go back to the way things were, the familiar, the cocoon. But you're here because you have an instinct that this is your new chapter in life. And it's a chance of a lifetime. And there's so much possibility for growth and success and happiness. And you want to rise to it. So another short reflection. What's one area where you get stuck? It could be a habit that slows you down, a belief that gets in the way. What feels like a black and white truth that ends up being a major block or challenge in your momentum? So some examples could be procrastination behaviors, like we talked about, or beliefs, like limiting beliefs, like I don't have the time, or the market's already saturated. So right now, jot down one area where you're feeling a big challenge. And then Gabby's going to pop in the chat some questions to ask yourself. So questions to ask yourself about how you're feeling stuck. And the questions are, if it's a limiting belief, is it true? How do I know it's true? Can you be absolutely sure it's true? And then a way to take a different perspective on your limiting belief is, how would you advise your best friend or child if they were having the same challenge? This can really shift things for you. So jot that down. And then what we're going to do is talk about how to get unstuck. So we all get stuck. And I just love this quote by Pema Chodron, which is about everyone having to start somewhere. So I'm going to read the quote. Start now. Start where you are with whatever you have. Start with fear. Start with doubt. Start with hands shaking. Start and don't stop. Just start. So I'm going to ask you, what's one step you can take to changing that unproductive behavior or limiting belief that's keeping you stuck? And I'm going to ask you to write that down. So one step you can take to changing that unproductive behavior. Now, one step, if you can't think of something right now, is just to notice this behavior and track it for 1 week. So you can adopt a practice to check in on it every day for 1 week. What's keeping me stuck and what am I doing? And just developing a self-awareness around the behavior. That's a start. And then make sure you give yourself some grace along the way and not be too hard on yourself, because that won't be helpful.
Kathleen, would you like me to read off a couple of comments that Anita has placed in the chat box?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Anita says, first off, yes, I'll say same pattern is a big one for me. Next, she says, this is so good, thank you. And the last two are planning ahead and time management.
Nice, Anita. Very nice. Yeah. So those are some things that you can start adopting and making time for, and understanding that they're going to help you move forward and get unstuck. Great. Okay. So as you're moving through these stages of starting your business and moving through this transition from the ending to the messy middle to the new beginning, there are ways to improve your capacity to achieve your goals. So depending on what your new business is, you may want to work with a coach on this personal or team development or your leadership. Or there are other ways to develop your own mastery of what you need to move through this. So coaching is one way. And what coaching can do in this slide, what I share are some practical strategies. This, what we call is the horizontal work, which is the skill development, because everybody could use some help in this area, whether it's, one area or another. Nobody's really perfect with all these things. Not everyone has all these skills, and many people seek support in developing them. So some areas to focus on. Number one is your own leadership development. And that begins with self-awareness practices, such as the reflecting practices that we're doing right now, and understanding your leadership styles and patterns. And then enhancing your communication skills. That's really important. That's how you're going to build this business, is by talking to people about it. And then depending on your organization or the size of it, facilitating your purpose. So how you work with people is the complex, messy part. And you're going to have to do this, whether it's one person, two people, five people, whether they're the external partners or your internal team. And by building trust with a coach in a coaching relationship, it helps you dive more deeply into these sensitive issues that you're encountering. Because stuff does come up when you're working with people. It can get messy. And working on your communication, there's a lot of work there. So for instance, building skills and handling difficult conversations, such as giving and receiving feedback or making requests, or clearing up interpersonal conflicts, addressing breakdowns in accountability without blame or shame, developing purpose with your team. You can get help for tools for structuring meetings and conversations, generating possibilities for responding to conflict when it occurs, and building alignment in your team for yourself together with your team. So these are all areas to help you build your leadership in your new business. And just real quickly, jot down one area where you think you could improve your leadership style. And just save this as a note for, this is something I may want to work on in the future or receive future training on. Let's make a little note, because then when something comes your way, you'll be like, yeah, that's something I did want to work on. I think will help me. And I want to make sure that I fully address that you're facing very real challenges in starting your own business, and you are brave to do that. And here are just some of them. So there's the financial challenges, the market competition, the management of a team if you have one, marketing and sales if you're marketing. There's the risk management part, work-life balance, and scaling your business. Now, no one was born with all of these skills, and successful entrepreneurs are often those who can navigate these challenges with resilience and adaptability and a strategic mindset. And they often get help by coaches or mentors. All successful people found ways to support themselves and get feedback on their leadership in order to grow and get better at what they do. So I'm just going to share a quick example. I have a friend who works for a startup, and she loves the product and believes in the people and the effectiveness of it. But the leader is abrasive and curt with her staff and makes the work environment really unpleasant. So this leader needs the feedback to learn ways to manage her stress so she doesn't take it out on her staff. And so it's just an example of how we all have blind spots, and effective leaders need to find out what these are. So I'm encouraging you to try to get some feedback on your leadership, whether it's from your team or somebody that you're close with, somebody who you trust, who will be honest with you and give you the feedback that you need. Because we all have areas to improve and strengthen, but the key is noticing and working on ways to improve how you are with people. All right, we are getting near the end. And as we get here, I want to talk a little bit about my coaching practice. So the way, because some people may not really understand or have been exposed to coaching before, but I see a coach as like a thought partner. So it's somebody that is with you on your path. And it's a person you can trust to care about you and be honest with you. And they stay with you through these different challenges and stages. The coaching client relationship is confidential. And so they're not going to talk to anybody else about what is shared in those sessions. And they help you set realistic goals that are achievable. And they work with accountability on that at your pace, whether it's large or small, with what matters to you to keep you accountable and moving forward. So it's through that trusting relationship and all the reflections we've done today that are like grist for the mill for what you could talk about in coaching, that are part of what happens in coaching. It can also be like real strategic decision making. Like I need to focus on whether I'm going to do this or this, and I need to do it with clarity. And it's all done in a trusting, empathic relationship. Real quickly, I want to mention something that I think is really cool that is just something for you to go look up if you feel like it. But it's called Ikigai, which is a Japanese framework to explore your goals and pursuits. And some people use this as a starting point in coaching to explore your personal why and how you want to contribute in the world. And so just real quickly, Ikigai says, asks you 4 questions. What are you good at? What do you love to do? What does the world need? And what you can make money doing. So there's so much possibility for growth and success and happiness, and I really want you to rise to it. So remember that Pema Chodron quote, start where you are, start now with whatever you have. Start with fear, start with doubt, start with hands shaking. Start and don't stop, just start. Okay, a few tangible resources for you. These are some books and podcasts that I think could be helpful if they resonate with you. The Pivot podcast with Jenny Blake is for sort of entrepreneurs and people taking the path less traveled. It's very, very interesting. The How of Business is much more tangible and concrete. The Small Business Millionaire by Stephen Chandler is very popular for people starting their small business. And then related to what we talked about, self-awareness around habits and beliefs, Atomic Habits by James Clear is a really good guide for helping you do some of your own work by yourself and noticing and making changes. So remember, we said that the average transition takes 4 years. So wherever you are, every once in a while, try to get to that balcony view of the stages of transition and give yourself some grace. And if anybody in the group right now has any resources that they have found to be helpful, go ahead and pop those in the chat for the other folks, because these are just a few. And as we conclude, what I want to share is that for all of you attending today, or if you watch the recording, I would be so thrilled to offer a free discovery coaching call with you to discuss where you're at and what your goals are. It would be sort of a sample coaching session. And then if you choose to engage in a coaching relationship with me, I'll be offering a 50% discount on my regular package, which is what I offer my nonprofit clients. And my website is mcmahoncoaching.com. And I wish we had time for lots of questions, but I see that we are at 1 minute of. And so I'm going to turn off the presentation and stop sharing and bring us together. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has or hear any comments or thoughts for the group.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and read off the comments that were put in the chat. We've got Elizabeth that stated, mine is tricky. It's a belief. I'm still too much. Me and my vision, my beliefs for others to take. Anita had inquired if the slides and the video will be available to all attendees. I mentioned to her that yes, the presentation will be sent to all. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. Anita says, sounds good. Thank you, Gabby. And Jim Copeland states, I like resources.
Yeah, we all like takeaways, Jim. Me too.
For sure.
I always love a good podcast recommendation or a great book. Well, I just want to thank you all for devoting the time today. I know you're super busy and somehow you got yourself here or you're watching the recording because your new business is important to you. And I want to encourage you to just keep going, right? And if you need support, I'm available. And just, all the power to you. Follow your dreams. And thank you so much for joining me today.